88 Wonderberg, your Music Central. I am Jackson Roberts. Thank you for tuning in for episode 2 of the Student Media Podcast, wherever you're listening from, whether it's live right now or on YouTube or just on the CWU Pulse Magazine website. I am thankful to have you here listening. And like I said, episode 2 of the Student Media Podcast, let's get this thing rolling. So if you listened last week, we had editor-in-chief of Pulse Magazine, Gunnar Stuns, come on, and he talked a little bit about all of the different categories or sections we cover underneath Pulse Magazine. And so I wanted to bring you guys a little bit of some news going around Ellensburg right now that fits underneath each of those categories, but isn't quite going to spoil exactly what we're doing for this fall 2024 issue that I am very excited for to come out at the end of the quarter. But yeah, let's get this thing rolling. We'll start with food and drink is one of the first sections, which is an interesting one for me, as there is some new drinks specifically around campus. If you saw the CWU Eats Instagram, they were talking a little bit about their Lotus drinks. So they have new Lotus drinks where you can find specifically at Coach's Coffee, which, if I am not mistaken, is connected to Wendell Hill B. They might have one to Wendell A as well, but the one I know of is at Wendell Hill B. So it's connected at the bottom, first floor of Wendell Hill, and then it will be Village Cafe over by the Student Village Apartments, also behind Wendell as well. So if you're in that area, you can run over there. They also got food there if you're interested as well. A different variety of meals compared to what you would get at places like the Lions Rock or El Gato or things of that sort. As for the drinks, so we'll talk about the Raspberry Rumble. Personally, I'd say this is the one that I'm probably getting if I'm going to find myself grabbing a Lotus drink. It would be raspberry, blackberry, vanilla, and blue Lotus. I go to not Dutch Bros. I do go to Dutch Bros, but a place that I go to a lot is either Gravity, and that's where I kind of get those types of drinks. Except it's more Red Bulls, obviously, stuff like that. So I personally haven't had any Lotus drinks, so I am intrigued by possibly trying some of those. Another one is the Violet Skies. This one would be a combination of lavender, peach, and white Lotus, so a little change from the last one being the Raspberry Rumble. Next would be Hot Pink Paradise. This one also sounds pretty enticing. So this one would be strawberry, orange, pineapple, and pink Lotus. So all decent flavors that you could go try out, like I said, at Coach's Coffee, Village Cafe, or the third place would be Breeze Through Cafe, which that would be in between a Michelson Hall and Randall Hall. There is the little Breeze Through area. It's kind of like it's on the second floor, really cool looking building, and in that area they have the Breeze Through Cafe where you can grab, I don't know quite sure if they have bagels or anything like they do at the Cirque, but they definitely have those those Lotus drinks that you could go and try out for yourself if you are interested. And just in case you missed last week's episode as well, where Gunnar Stuns, editor-in-chief of the Pulse, as I said earlier, was talking about and covering all the different sections that we do cover at Pulse. I'll go ahead and do that for you real quick in case you missed out on that. We have Mind and Body, which is just kind of covering stuff, just mental health or maybe workout routines that you could do or at-home workouts, stuff like that. Our Town just kind of speaks for itself, just talking about news that's going on in Ellensburg, maybe relates to Central Washington University. Sports, once again, speaks for itself. Sports specifically that I would cover would be stuff going on here at Central Washington University. I don't quite go out of my way to cover too much of the NFL stuff. If you are interested in that, I have my show Thursdays, the Wildcast, at 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. to 2 if you are interested. So tune into that if you're interested in worldwide sports compared to just Central Washington sports. So yeah, it's typically covering our football, soccer, track and field, basketball, whatever is in season. And then we have fashion, so we can cover stuff, just fashion trends, what some people are wearing, what others maybe wouldn't wear, and it's kind of harder to do as much on here, especially if I'm by myself right now. I can tell you guys about what I like to wear, but you guys probably don't care as much. You want to hear about a broadened view of multiple students. So fashion there. We have life hacks as well, which is pretty fun, just teaching you certain hacks that you can make your day a little bit easier, a little stress-free maybe. Just maybe cut some extra time needed out of some other things that you might not need to be spending that much time on. And then we have our After Dark section as well, a bit more risque topics. Some different stuff goes in there compared to all of these topics that I had already covered. So with that being said, why don't we move on to Mind and Body? World Mental Health Day was October 10th. So that would be 5 days ago. And I know a little bit late to this, but I still think it's important to shine some light on it. I think it's important to make sure to reach out to some of your family members or just loved ones. Tell them you love them, and just let them know how important they are to you. If you're ever feeling down, Student Health Services is here on campus. I believe they're also located, or you can schedule a counseling meeting, and that is located in Blackhall. So if you're just feeling like you're in need of needing to talk to someone and you may not have that type of person to lean on, the counselors are very great people, professionals, and they can hopefully maybe help you out as much as they can. And so, yeah, just reach out to loved ones, reach out to friends. It's important to kind of show acts of kindness throughout the day. And I feel like personally that makes me feel better about myself when I'm showing acts of kindness, as well as obviously when other people are showing love or acts of kindness towards myself as well. It makes me feel appreciated and known to those people, I guess, is the way I would put it. So I just wanted to cover a little bit of the World Mental Health Day. That was October 10th. So we'll move on now to our town. And this is something that I haven't seen posted anywhere too much, but it's something that me and my friends certainly discuss to quite an extent, is the parking here at Central Washington. Specifically when you are going to classes. I find myself, a lot of my classes are around, I have one at 9 a.m., not as bad for parking there. That's also at the Health and Sciences building, so parking's not too awful over there. But once I get to my 11 and 12 and 1 classes here in just the Cirque parking lot, it gets kind of hectic out there. Not a lot of parking. I find myself often trying to get to the parking spots around 10-15 minutes early. And it usually does not work out for me. 10 to 15 minutes early of where I normally come. That's usually I usually show up to class 10 minutes early. And so that's about like 30 minutes. I'm just rolling around looking for a parking spot, and I'm still sometimes showing up to class late. There's some parking spots off campus that you can sometimes park at. I parked over by Domino's once, and I made it to class, was late, but it's just something that's been bugging me a little bit lately. I've also talked to some of my roommates about it. They're doing laps around the parking lot looking for a spot as well, and it's just hard for me to, I don't know, really try to go to class looking for a parking spot, still showing up late, and then when I do find a parking spot, I see 2 other cars either both pulling around a corner, and then they're kind of about to crash into each other for that parking spot. So it's just something I really don't think I should be seeing. I park at Starbucks parking lot sometimes, just some places that if you can't quite find parking and you're already finding yourself running late to class, kind of try to get out there and maybe find a new spot. I don't know. You're definitely going to have to walk is what I have learned. It's not too bad. Just make sure to show up to class as early as possible, or show up to your parking spots as early as possible is what I should suggest. I mean, it feels like the parking spots is more important than the class at this point. They're so valuable, and you don't see them too often. So just something I wanted to bring up. And maybe I'm just complaining, and you guys might not feel the same. Feel free to let me know. And actually, for our listeners here at 88.1, feel free to text in at 509-963-2311. One more time, that is 509-963-2311. Text in either your thoughts about parking, other topics you may be interested in the Student Media Podcast covering in the following weeks. And then as well, I'll shout out our social media handle, or our online websites for Pulse and Observer as well. That would be cwobserver.com and cwpulsemagazine.com. Same could be said for our social medias, except the .com, obviously. But feel free to DM us any tips you have for stories, any ideas, like I said, that you want to see covered in the paper or the magazine. Let us know. We're more than happy to listen to your guys' thoughts and hopefully apply them into our paper or magazine. Observer stories is something I wanted to cover as well right now, as I will grab a paper real quick. Front page this week, done by Astra Powell, Peterson, and Lee Beck, is a story, The State of Your University. Go ahead and give us a quick flash and shout out to the Observer while we have it. For the people who cannot quite see it right now, the front page of the Observer this week was The State of Your University, where President Jim Wolpart announced 26 million lost due to low enrollment. And something I kind of like about the graphic here, once again I'll flash it, is it shows the 30-year fall enrollment trend shows it drops off a little bit. I don't want to go too much into this because definitely feel free to pick up a paper around campus. You can find it anywhere on campus that aren't dorms. So all the buildings, they have a little blue stand where you should be able to see the most recent issue of Pulse if there's any left, and then as well as the weekly issue of the Observer. Scroll through here a little bit longer. You can see some of our online stories as well. The Soundbite Volume 11, done by my good friend Brandon, is just a great. Also, shout out Brandon for the Matisech is his last name. As his photography work is fantastic. His writing has been so much fun to read. The Soundbite was something that we kind of brought back in the Observer last year, and Brandon's done a great job with it, covering, especially last year, was the beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, and then when J. Cole was ultimately sitting out of it and all that. But yeah, Port Antonio, the song that was released on Instagram as a reel for J. Cole the other day, was posted, and so we also wrote a little bit about that piece and all of that. So that's something that's kind of included in the soundbite. Other news, this is from an issue from 2 weeks ago, but the Multicultural Center among Siwoo's renovation efforts. This is by our editor-in-chief at the paper, Isaac Hinson. Isaac, another good friend of mine, he was on here last week as well talking about the Observer, and I'm sure he will find himself on this show plenty of times as the quarter goes on. He was bummed that he couldn't quite make it today, so you guys are stuck with me, but so where are my friends at, I guess? I don't know. But no, Isaac will be on here soon throughout the quarter, and then next week I got something special planned for you guys too, but back to this, just the Multicultural Center is the next among Siwoo's renovation efforts, and it's going to be in Black Hall, and this is something that was kind of a hot topic last year in the Observer. We weren't quite sure. We were promised it, but we weren't quite sure where it was going to be. Was it going to be its own building? Was it going to be in Black Hall, maybe another place? We weren't quite sure, so we finally get a little bit of clarification, as well as some cool AI-generated designs online of what the building is going to hopefully look like, or the area of the Multicultural Center is going to look like. So looking forward to seeing that. It's been a long time coming here for Central Washington, and I'm happy that we finally have a place there in Black Hall. And so following that, we'll go on to some sports. So if you guys are unaware, I'm a sports editor at the Observer as well. And you know what? We'll give a little shameless plug here as well. Front page by yours truly. This was the first issue of the quarter. This was the Cats are back. Wildcats won 36-0 in their home opener. Obviously, this isn't as well, it's true, but it's not as timely as it was a couple weeks ago, as the Wildcats did unfortunately drop their previous game against University of Texas Permian Basin 14-13. Low-scoring matchup, but Wildcats offense just couldn't quite keep up that pace of 36 points. And then the defense didn't play awful either, led by guys like Chase Lloyd-Hammer, obviously Tanner Volk, reigning Ronland's Defensive Player of the Year, and then also Isaac Clark, senior. So the defense has got tons of great pass rushers, tons of great versatile defensive backs. Just couldn't quite come out on top in that game. That does bump us to a 4-2 record on the season. And we dropped also from number 9 in the rankings to number 21. So that shows you how important it is that every game is in football. I mean, compared to some of these other sports where you're playing maybe 20 or 30 games, football you're playing, I believe it's 12 games, and 4 of those are non-conference, and then the last 8 are conference games. So every game does matter, and one loss can drastically change your season. While I'm not saying that's the case for the Siwoo Wildcats football team, it clearly changes where we're ranked. Dropped 12 spots. So number 9 to 21, not what we were looking for. Wildcats will be away next weekend, and then so this upcoming weekend, and then after that we will be back home. So make sure to show out for your Wildcats. It was pretty cool seeing the blackout kind of night that we had at Tomlinson Stadium. I love all of I just love college football environment, man. It's the kind of like Penn State. They have their whiteout nights where the whole team is wearing their white uniforms with the whole fans in the stadium packed with just wearing white. That's exactly what the Wildcats were doing the other night, except it was blackout night. So really cool to see, and love to see all the students showing up with the school spirit, and also just love to see all of the people out before the games at the tailgate too, enjoying themselves, and just excited football season's back, man. I mean, we got, so 6 more games left of regular season, and we go on to playoffs if the Wildcats make a push for that, which right now I'd say there's a chance, but we'll move on now to volleyball. So volleyball, I don't want to say too much about. They have been performing amazing, and there even was a player of the week this week. Once again, there's a story coming out for Observer this week. I'm not going to say too much more about volleyball. Go ahead and pick yourself up an issue of the Observer. I believe it will come out Thursday morning, and you can find it there, or find it, like I said earlier, anywhere at the buildings on campus. There should be a blue little stand where you can pick up Observer or Pulse magazine. So also, one more thing I wanted to cover for sports is something posted by CWU Athletics, and something I definitely wanted to shine some light on is Ellis Nelson, a freshman defensive lineman for the Central Washington University Wildcats. He was recently diagnosed with Burkitt lymphoma and aggressive blood cancer. So in CWU Athletics Instagram, there is a link tree to the GoFundMe for Eric Nelson, right? Yes, for Ellis Nelson. My apologies. So there is a link tree for his GoFundMe. The first thing as soon as you click on it on CWU Athletics Instagram, in their bio, the top tab to click on is support for Ellis. So I think it's going to be really important for all of us to go there, help and support Ellis. And I'm wishing nothing but a speedy recovery for him, and just nothing but the best for him. Deeply saddened to see that, and just like I said, hopefully a healthy recovery will happen soon. But with that being said, we will now move on to a little bit of fashion. So for fashion, I had something where there was the drag show a couple weeks ago for the just for CWU on campus. Let me see. I have it here, I believe, where I can pull it out for you guys. That's right. It's here on the mid-fold of the previous issue. Look at this design, first of all. Shout out our designers at The Observer. We also got, once again, amazing photographer in Brandon Matisech. So, and a great story by Lee Beck as well, another one of the people we saw on the show last week, our copy desk editor at The Observer. And man, I love The Observer. I love Pulse Magazine. I love student media. It's so much fun bringing you guys stories and just the news that you guys may want to know or need to know on campus. So it's a ton of fun. And yeah, I wanted to talk about the fashion. I almost just got distracted by how much I love The Observer and Pulse. Yeah, so we had some drag kings like Aquasha De Lusty. There was one, Judas the Beslayer was a very popular one from what I had heard. Camilla Reyes Summers, Diana Fire, and then Freedom Writes. So hopefully the people online or people listening live at the on 88.1, you guys aren't quite going to be able to see this, but I'm flashing a few pictures. Oh, let me get that centered for you guys of some of these amazing photos from the drag show a couple weeks ago. So there's a little bit of fashion for you guys. Like I said, my fashion taste, y'all don't want that as much as y'all probably want a little bit of drag action there. So now, moving on into something, some life hacks. So here is a issue of Pulse magazine. Now that I haven't flashed one of these yet, Pulse. This is an issue from fall 2022, I believe, is what that says. Yes, so obviously a couple years outdated. I couldn't quite get my hands on a recent one when I was moving through Black Hall earlier, but some life hacks. This is one that I noticed. This is by a story by Jake Hassebrock and photos by Dylan Hansen and designed by Annie Tran, just to give credit to these amazing workers for Pulse magazine. So tip number one, buy a real alarm clock. Don't really use your phone. It's nice to have that actual alarm clock on your nightstand to remind you when to get up. Make your bed is something that's important, and I will be honest, something that I sometimes struggle with too. It's just kind of the motivation of getting out of bed. Oh, I got to go to class. Let me do my morning hygienic routine and all that, and then I'm off to class and I come back, or I'm busy throughout most of the day and I come back late at night and my bed's just not made. And it's something that I definitely feel like I need to work on, and some of you also might as well as some other things on here too, and it's no shame at all. Meditate, number 3. My old roommate actually put me on some good meditation tactics, and I wish I have applied them more recently, but definitely sophomore year of college, I was doing a lot of meditation, and I found it very helpful. I found myself sometimes struggling in classes beforehand, before I started doing meditation, and I just felt a lot more clear in my head. You wake up in the morning, I felt clear. You go into your bed and into sleep with a lot less stress, and I just overall gained a lot better sleep. And that's what this story is actually called, which I forgot to highlight, is the right side of the bed. This is all to help you feel more energized and also wake up feeling better as well as sleeping. So eat breakfast too. So this is really important. Once again, something I used to struggle on, and it's really is underlooked, is how important breakfast is. It's really your starter fuel for the day. It's kind of what's going to keep your energy going. You don't want to wait until 11 or 12 to be eating breakfast. It's just kind of, I wouldn't say unhealthy, but your body needs food. Your body needs energy and something to run off of. And I hate to break it to you, Red Bull, just a Red Bull drink or those Lotus drinks like I was saying earlier, those are not going to get it done. You need some food in you as well. Feel free to grab those too, like I said, from Village Cafe, Breeze Through Cafe, or Coach's. But definitely get some food in your system. Don't just try to rely on energy drinks or smoothies or something. Smoothies are helpful, but food is important. Use a planner. This is something, once again, I'm applying this to myself just to show you guys and another student here at campus like you guys, or if you're not, but is using a planner is something I have, in a way, added to my routine. Is I use reminders. So I use reminders, the reminders app on your phone, and beginning of the day, I try to write down each goal or task I have for myself for the day, and then it's something about crossing off the list or even just getting it off a list. Just completing tasks is satisfying. It's a sense of fulfillment, and it's something that just kind of makes me feel like proud of myself, or kind of at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I crossed off all the stuff that I had planned for today, all the goals I had, I'm satisfied, and then you kind of go into bed proud of yourself for what you did for that day. So I think, and also obviously using a planner helps you know what you have to do for that day, so you're not missing assignments, and so you can sit down for maybe 10-15 minutes, look at your Canvas schedule, all of your assignments that are due in the next couple weeks, go ahead and just write those down on your planner, and then you can kind of see what your plan is for the week and what you need to accomplish. As I get a nod from the one and only Ryan Gildersleeve. That's actually something I want to talk about as well, is soon I want to highlight some of the sports broadcasting here at 88.1, because it is still part of the student media podcast, or student media really, bringing you guys some Ryan Gildersleeve and Cash Brown, bringing you guys play-by-play commentary for football. So I'm looking to bring them on soon, as well as other people here at 88.1, tons of great people who've given me a great opportunity to be right in front of this mic and talking to you guys. So, and once again, I'm just thankful for everyone at Pulse Magazine and The Observer as well. It's just great opportunities, and I feel completely blessed. But yeah, that's really all I have for you guys today. It's a shorter episode. I know only ran about 25 minutes, but not too much to talk about. Just talking about kind of the stuff going on around campus this week, as well as I'll give you guys a little bit of an insight of what's going to happen next week. So we're going to try to bring in the people behind the scenes, the two men who run the social media accounts for both Pulse Magazine and The Observer. I won't quite say who just yet. One of them might have already been named. But they will both be coming in here next week, same time, 3 o'clock, as well as hopefully bringing in some of our amazing designers. And that's something I said a little bit ago with that drag double truck photo spread there. I just can't say enough about our designers at The Observer, at Pulse. And actually, no, that's something else I was going to bring up. I remembered was this amazing design here. If I can find it, it would be this one. This one was designed by Annie Tran, story by Elliot Watkins. And this kind of goes back to the mind and body. So it says, I love you even though you're depressed. So story about depression. But look how great this design is. It does not do it justice here on the cameras at 88.1, but it's just a beautiful design with some raindrops in the background, lady walking through with her umbrella, and the words wrapping around it. With my time working at a paper and a magazine now, I've learned to love just the format of how some of these stories come out and the results of them, and I'm just fascinated by it. But as for this episode 2 of the Student Media Podcast, I thank all of you guys for listening in. Like I said, whether you're listening live right now or listening later on YouTube or on the Pulse website, I appreciate you listening in, and I can catch you guys on Thursday for the Wildcast at 1 p.m.